Well, it's Thursday evening, and man, it's been a long day for me. I worked all day. I just got home not too awful long ago, and fixed myself a couple of tacos, and took care of my dog and my livestock. And anyway, I'm in here making this video. I'm making the video mainly because a very dear friend of mine passed away. A man I dearly love. His son sent me a message today, not too awful long ago, and says, "Hey, Mr. Barron, can you share your thoughts with me on Ron DeSantis?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do that, man. I'll give you, I'll say something. I'll give you something this evening." And yeah, I'm tired, and it's here almost 11 o'clock here in the Eastern Time Zone in Pennsylvania. But you know what? I always come through and I always deliver. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. We need more of that in the men and in the leadership. Not a bunch of talk. People who do what they say, come through, say what they mean what they say, and come through. But there's another reason also that I wanted to put this video out. Because a couple days ago, somebody said something on one of my posts, commented on my post, and I'll tell you what. It lit a fire in me. It pretty much got me hot under the collar, to say it lightly. I actually deleted the post, but it didn't stick in my craw. You know, I had posted about Ron DeSantis, his comments that he said about listless vessels, and my post was simply, "Hey, you better remember that us listless vessels are about 75, 80 million strong." Well, this dude got the audacity to come on my post and say, "Oh, you ought to watch it before you post something and not let the media manipulate you." First of all, you don't know me well enough, apparently, to think that I'm manipulated, posting something that I haven't watched. Yeah, I know what Ron DeSantis says, and I know what points he was making. That's irregardless. I still don't like it. And maybe some folks that commented about his listless vessels might have misrepresented what he said. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But what I don't agree with is the people that he's saying, well, the folks that's going to support Donald Trump no matter what, support a man's personality, they're listless vessels. Folks, I got something to say about that, and it's going to bring me to my point of why I cannot and will not support Ron DeSantis. But before we go any further, I want to back up a little bit, or just say that because it's around, the debates and everything that's happened recently, I was never, and I never will be, on the Vivek Ramsworthy bandwagon. Just look into this guy's past, his big pharma and his Soros-funded past. Look it up for yourself. This is just another wannabe politician that speaks to please whoever his current audience is. His recent past, if you dig into it, will show and reveal his true form. I remember that Waylon Jennings song, "I've Always Been Crazy." Some of the lyrics in that Waylon Jennings song, "Are you sure you really want what you see? Be careful of something that's just what you want it to be." Well, that's this Vivek Ramsworthy guy. You got to be very careful of this little smooth talking guy coming out of nowhere. It reminds me of Obama. He, just go back and see some of his stances and things that he said in the past. Like I said, funded by Soros and all this other kind of stuff. You can't trust this dude, man. Well, anyway, let me say something. If you are one of my social media friends and you post something that I don't like, well, guess what? I'm going to keep it moving. I'm not going to call you out publicly. I'm not going to accuse you of being manipulated or not knowing what you're talking about or posting something that you hadn't even watched. I'm just going to keep it moving. But let's just say that it does bother me. I'm not calling you out publicly. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call you personally. Because if it bothers me that much and I really think that I need to say something to you, then I must care about you, must be friends, and most importantly, I must think that I have the relationship built with you well enough to call you. And let's just say I don't have your personal phone number, which would be very rare, for that close of friends. I'll just send you a private Facebook message. I'm not going to call you out publicly. I'm just going to say, hey, I see what you posted, and maybe I was thinking maybe you should rethink that or something, and this is the reason why. I'm not going to call you out and accuse you and publicly. I'm just going to, if I don't like something you post, I'm simply just not going to like it. I'm just going to keep it moving. Keep it moving. That's your business. That's your Facebook page. This ain't a debate stage on your personal private Facebook page. You're saying your opinion, what you want to say. I'm going to keep it moving. And I suggest that most people be that way. But, that's just me. But anyway, back to that post about the listless vessels. Here's my problem with that comment. And it brings me kind of around to the way I feel about old Ron DeSantis. Well, first of all, he's calling someone like me a listless vessel. Why do I say like me? Because I'm a supporter of Trump no matter what. Let me tell you something. Let me show you something real quick. Let me introduce you to my Trump bobblehead. And that ain't all. Oop, just dropped some of my golf balls. I was practicing my putting a while back. Trumpy Bear. So you see, I'm a pretty devout Trump supporter, to say the least. Mr. Trump bobblehead and Trumpy Bear. Right next to my office. My desk, in my office. Well, nonetheless, let's keep it moving. So, he's basically saying the folks that just support Trump regardless, his personality and blah, 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 they're the listless vessels. Well, look up the word listless, folks. It's of a person or their manner lacking energy and enthusiasm. Does it look like I'm lacking energy and enthusiasm? How many MAGA, Make America Great Again, folks, Trump supporters, ardent Trump supporters, are lacking energy and enthusiasm? They ain't none of us listless vessels. Yeah, I get what the guy was trying to say, and I don't appreciate it. Does it look like we're characterized by a lack of interest, lack of energy, a lack of spirit? Does it look like we're lethargic, spiritless, lifeless? Now, so why did this Ron DeSantis even use the word listless vessels? Oh, buddy, we're spirited, all right. We're tired and we're fed up with it. We want our country back. We ain't listless vessels. We're supporting Trump no matter. And we should. But anyway, that's what he said. But here's my point I'm trying to get to. I want to talk about loyalty and betrayal and the importance of loyalty. You see, I have personally been betrayed. It's no secret. The people watching this video who know me and know a little bit of my past, y'all know I was married before. And she cheated on me, 2 or 3 times that I know of, at least twice. And it's not that I'm trying to badmouth her or anything. It's public knowledge. It's what happened. It's what caused the divorce, basically. And but when you're betrayed and you have someone who's not loyal to you, oh, it's a big deal. And when it happens to you, you'll know just how big of a deal it is. Let me tell you something else why loyalty is such a big deal to me. Not too awful long ago, about a year or so ago, do you know that most of us, no matter how old we are, we have a sense of safety and security in our parents' home where we grew up, where our bedroom was, where we got in trouble with our parents, where we grew up, where we learned life lessons, where we ate our meals, where we opened up our Christmas presents, where we prayed. So you have a sense of safety and security in your parents' home, no matter how old you are. I think we all can feel that, and we're blessed because of it. So not too awful long ago, something that was really on my near and dear to my heart, something that our family was going through uh, concerning loyalty in a way. It was something that I had a private conversation with my dad in the safety and security and the privacy of my parents' home, the home I grew up in, right there in El Dorado, Arkansas. My parents have been living there since 1985 or something. Well, I'm having a private one-on-one conversation with my dad. That's sacred, folks. You don't screw around with that. When you talk about disloyal and treachery and betrayal at the biggest levels, I had someone in my parents' home who was listening to my conversation between just me, my private conversation between me and my dad. And they video recorded it. And they took the video recordings and all the stuff that was said in the privacy and the safety and security of my parents' home between a father and a son, and they went to someone else's Thanksgiving gathering and they misrepresented what we said. They played a sneaky recording of me and my dad talking about some very sensitive things. Folks, let me tell you something. That is betrayal and disloyalty to the highest levels from a blood-related relative, two of them actually, who stabbed me in the back. So to say that loyalty and betrayal are not enormous issues to me, I mean, come on with it. Anybody, any one of us who has faced a less than loyal person that's close and near and dear to us, it's hard to recover from. And the folks that are in my life, and has been in my life for a long time, they're there in my life still because they're loyal, and I'm loyal to them. I've had a friend in Richard since the 4th grade. He never stabbed me in the back. Even when I've had conduct unbecoming, he supported me. He knew my character, and he supported me. Through the divorce, through anything and everything, he's always been loyal. We ain't always seen eye to eye on everything. Makes no difference. The man's loyal to me, and I'm loyal to him. Well, anyway, that's my personal grievances, if you will, on the importance of loyalty. Now, I have a lesson that I personally learned about loyalty some years ago, and I'll be right up front with you. It's very humbling for me to say this, but I try to live a transparent life. Well, some years ago, when I left the healthcare profession and started getting into industrial safety, it was because of a guy who recognized my talents and recognized my education. And I responded to an accident in Coffeyville, Kansas one night, and a lot of people witnessed it and seen it. And the guy was hurt really bad, and I tried to stabilize him, but and care for him until the EMS folks arrived. I was not a pipe fitter. I was a boilermaker on this job. Well, anyway, a lot of people seen me reacting to the guy and responding to him, and during the course of his accident, after he kind of came to his senses or whatever, I was trying to stabilize him because I thought he had some neck and spine injuries. He tried moving around, and he said, "Hey, do you remember me?" Then I said, "No, I don't remember you. We don't know each other. Just you really need to stay still. I think you're hurt. I think you got some spine and neck injuries. To just stay still." Well, the guy says, "I do know you." Well, anyway, the EMS shows up and everything and takes him off. Well, lo and behold, a month or two later, at the end of the job, I have a radio on me. I get called to the engineer shack. I thought, oh man, I did something wrong. So I get up there, and a bunch of folks is in there, and the man that was hurt was sitting in a chair, and a lot of people was around. And he said, "Now do you know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't guess so. I don't remember you." And because when he was on the ground and I was responding to him that night, he said, "Yeah, I do know you, And I said, "No, I'm from Oklahoma." He said, I know you're from Tulsa. And I said, whoa. I lived in Tulsa at the time. And so I thought, well, my goodness, maybe the guy does know who I am. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, anyway, so he gets carted off by the ambulance, comes back a couple months later at the end of the job. I get called up there, and he says, I used to be in the hospital. You was a nurse up there on the unit at Hillcrest Specialty. I said, man, I sure was. He said, yeah, you was my nurse one time. I said, come on. He said, yeah. And well, turns out he was discharged on hospice. They thought he was going to pass away, but he went into remission and everything, and he lived, and he recovered so well that he went, on a job as a welding inspector. And then he gets hurt, and I responded to the accident. Well, this is a cool story, so a lot of people heard it. Well, there was a man sitting in there. I didn't know who he was, and but he was a big shot. His name was Lanny. And Lanny said, well, you got all this kind of expertise and everything. What are you doing up here on my job as a boilermaker working in the mud at night? I said, man, I just need to take a break, from healthcare or whatever, and some other things happened, and my cousin got me a job. Who's your cousin? I said, well, Nathan, Williams. And so he looks at me and says, well, how would you like to be my safety man? I said, safety man? I didn't even know what that was. And I kind of jokingly said, well, how much does that pay? He goes, a lot more than what you're making now. I said, well, I think I like it a lot. Well, anyway, long story short is, this man, Lanny, recognized my talents and thought, hey, you can twist the wrenches, you can and gain the respect of the men out in the field, you can hang with them, you're a hard worker, plus you got all this health care and everything. I'd rather have a safety man that knows what he's talking about, that can handle injuries and stuff, than all these other folks that we've been dealing with. So Lanny made the way for me to get into industrial safety. He sent me to Houston, Texas. He paid for my credentials and my schooling and everything, and got me all through that. Well, the embarrassing thing I want to say, and the humbling thing I want to say is, sometime later, after Lanny actually did make me a safety man and get my credentials and everything and my education in place, sometime later, something happened on the job, and I didn't like Lanny's response to it, and ultimately I stabbed Lanny in the back, and I was disloyal to Lanny, and I went above his head. I went around him to his superiors, and when he found out about it, he confronted me about it. It was not a very good moment, but I'll just say that the way that Lanny looked at it is the way that I looked at Ron DeSantis. But this was many years ago when I learned this lesson. I guarantee you Ron DeSantis has been through enough, and at this level, he shouldn't happen to be learning the lesson of loyalty. But Lanny made me into safety. He brought me into safety. He recognized my talents. He recognized my skills, and he could see a great relationship in the safety business with my background. And he made it possible for me to be in industrial safety. He paid for it. He secured it. And he used his influence to make it happen. And then I kind of went around him. And so Lanny looked at it, was like, dude, you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. Now here you are going behind my back. And man, I was embarrassed. And even though in the beginning, I quite didn't see it that way, but Lanny was right, and I should have, voiced my concerns to him. He was ultimately responsible anyway, and so he kind of looked at me and was like, I brought you into this safety world. I brought you onto this job. I put a lot of money in your pocket, and I've recognized your talents. I got you credentialed, got you a new career, and this is how you treat me. Well, let me just say that Lanny has never spoken to me again, and not only did we lose the professional relationship, I lost a friendship, and I deserved it. And let me just say that I learned my lesson in loyalty. But that brings me to Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis was running a very poor campaign for governor. He was losing. He would have lost. He reached out to Donald Trump. Donald Trump embraced him. He endorsed him. He went around with him. He supported him. Things immediately flipped the scripts, and he's now the governor of Florida. Ron DeSantis would have never been governor of Florida ever if it wasn't for Donald Trump. And for him to put, Donald Trump to help get Ron DeSantis elected, and then for him to turn around and turn on Trump, betray Trump. That's almost kind of like my story, but I was a lot younger back then and made a mistake, learned my lesson. But now we have a guy running for president who's ungrateful. He willingly chose to rise up against Donald Trump, stab Donald Trump in the back, not even grateful for what Trump did to him. But it's not just Donald Trump that this guy's disloyal to. He made a promise and a commitment to the Floridians, the citizens of Florida. He ain't even finished a term out for them yet. And he's running around like he's going to be some kind of president or something when he didn't even fulfill the promises that he made to Florida. Then he stabs Trump in the back, showing his true character of disloyal, disingenuous, unappreciative. And with that alone, he's rejected. He's not qualified or fit for the job. So that's my biggest thing about Ron DeSantis is he's disloyal. I mean, it's all over it. He's disloyal. He stabbed Trump in the back. He didn't even finish his promise. He should have stayed in Florida, supported Trump, stayed in Florida, proved himself through at least one full term, because he did promise Florida a term of being a governor and running their state. He's disloyal to the people who voted for him, the Trump supporters who voted for him. So he's turned on them as well as he turned on Trump. So how could you ever trust this guy? I mean, really? Well, anyway, back to the debate. I will say, too, that I don't watch Fox News anymore. It's not allowed in my house. There's 2 times that Fox comes into my home. 1, Sunday night, DVR, Life, Liberty, and Levin. 2, Charles Payne making money at 2 o'clock every day. Obviously, I work during the day. I'm usually gone. I'm not in the office most days. So I DVR Charles Payne. I watch the Business Channel, Charles Payne, in the evening. Get updated on all the market news and the stocks and the economy, because I like Charles Payne. And that's the only time Fox News is coming into my home. Mark Levin, Life, Liberty, Levin, Sunday night, and every day at 2 o'clock, Charles Payne making money. That's the only time. I don't listen to them. I don't trust Fox News. They're about as disloyal and spewing lies as the rest of them. So I did not actually watch the debate because I was watching Tucker Carlson interview Donald Trump. And you know who else watched it? So far, the last I looked, about 244 million other people watched it. Anyway, back to the debate. Since I don't watch Fox News, the majority of what I have watched debate-wise is clips and different things of the debate on other media like Twitter and some other things, seeing what they said. And I mean, look, folks, Ron DeSantis was the big loser out of almost all of them, except for maybe Chris Christie. Ron DeSantis was simply just a non-factor in the debate last night. I mean, deer in the headlights. I mean, he's looking around, trying to see what other people are doing before he raised his hand or before he answered this or that. He's no good. He's no good. He's disloyal. I mean, you can't trust a man like that. But anyway, to the interview last night between old Tucker and Trump. Assuming most of you watched Tucker Carlson interviewing Trump, because last I looked, like I said, 240 some odd million people did. I want you to think about what you watched, what you saw with your own eyes, and what you heard with your own ears. Did Donald J. Trump seem worried? Nope. Did he give off any negative vibes? Nope. Did you detect fear or uncertainty in this man? How you answer those questions should serve as a barometer, if you will, as to how things are going. Think about the big picture, folks. We saw a cool hand Luke, so to speak, or Paul Newman. But what we have here is not a failure to communicate. Oh, Trump communicates to the people. I mean, how about that? I brought up the old Paul Newman Cool Hand Luke movie and a Waylon Jennings song in this video. But anyway, think about some of the things that Trump says over and over again. Key phrases that he keeps repeating. One of them is, we caught them all. Let's wait and see what happens. Oh, he caught them. And let's wait and see what happens. But before I leave this video, because I just think Ron DeSantis, first of all, he's disloyal. You can't trust a man. You can't trust a man. He's disloyal. He's ungrateful. He has turned on the Floridians. He has turned on Trump. He can't even keep his promises. He didn't even fill one term as governor. He should have proven himself. Ran in Florida, got a proven track record, then, ran later on. Not now. Timing is everything in a lot of things, and his timing's off, and he's disloyal, disingenuous. He has no personality. He's no good. He can't run a campaign. Well, anyway, let's think about leadership. Something that I say and I've blogged about and written about. The way you lead is an expression of who you are. Great leadership comes to those who make it their great pursuit throughout life. Great leadership begins with being accountable, speaking the truth, and putting away selfish desires. Values control behavior. And Ron DeSantis, he don't have that value of loyalty, and that's not what was controlling his behavior. He knew better and he did it anyway. And he don't have that integrity. Your integrity as a person and as a leader depends on your values and your willingness to share. Adopting a servanthood mentality is the first step to become better at team leadership, period. Whoever influences the core values in a group is, in fact, the leader. You can see all these attributes and these values in Donald Trump. The willingness to share, to devote himself, to give up his life, to give up his billions. I mean, really. That brings us to courage, folks. Leaders have the mindset that enables them to face a difficult situation, and it is not always easy to do the right thing, especially in the face of criticism. Having the courage to follow through with one's convictions and remaining in alignment with one's values is necessary for true leadership. As far as I'm concerned, Ron DeSantis didn't do it. Trump has. Furthermore, leaders cannot have a timid spirit. There ain't nothing timid about Donald Trump. Courageous decision making enables you to overcome intimidation that may otherwise cause you to stumble. They have not intimidated this man and Donald Trump. And he ain't stumbling like stumbling, feeble-minded, can't even walk, talk, nothing, put together a sentence, babbling, corrupt Biden. Think about that. That courageous decision making enables you to overcome intimidation that may otherwise cause you to stumble. Let's think about the Bible for a minute. The Bible has a lot to say about loyalty, since that's my main grievance of why DeSantis isn't worthy of this, and he just can't, he don't have the goods. The Bible has a lot to say about loyalty. The word loyalty brings to mind a powerful sense of belonging and solidarity. That's why so many of us connect to Trump, because we have this sense of belonging again to the nation and nationalism, a sense of solidarity that has been lost, something I call the American way. With it also comes the idea of wholehearted fidelity coupled with unswerving devotion and duty. In the Bible, the concept of loyalty is purely relational. It really is. Keep in mind that God established the very essence of loyalty through his covenant relationship with his people. The Bible says, "Know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who maintains covenant loyalty with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations." In our relationships with one another, we are called to steadfast loyalty. We think about one of the greatest apostles, the Apostle Paul. Paul speaks of loyalty in his loyal companion in Philippians 4:3. This unknown person, it might be Titus or Silas, I'm not sure who it is, but whoever it was, he was one who labored faithfully with Paul. Then there's Ruth, the very embodiment of loyalty as demonstrated in her complete devotion and duty to her mother-in-law. The Bible says, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." That's Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. And as Jesus' disciples, I hope you're a disciple of Jesus. If you're not, give me a call. I'd like to get you saved. Not me, that's the Holy Spirit. But if you felt led and you're not a disciple of Jesus, you're not a believer, give me a call. Anyway, as Jesus' disciples, we demonstrate our loyalty and our self-sacrificing allegiance to him by following his command. That's self-sacrificing allegiance. It's so important to him by following his command. The Bible says, "If anyone would come after me," this is what Jesus is saying, "he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." That's Mark 8:34. But even when we fail to be completely loyal and steadfast to him, we have his assurance that he will be loyal to us. "And surely I am with you always, even to the very end of the age." It says Matthew 28 verse 20, I believe. Loyalty is a big issue, folks. It's a big issue in our faith. It's a big issue in our leadership. It's a big issue in relationships. It's a big issue in family. And Ron DeSantis is just not loyal. And in my opinion, he's not fit for office. And some people would say, "Well, hey, Barron, you mentioned infidelity early on in this video." Yeah. Well, Donald Trump cheated on his wife. Yeah, I do know that. But let me tell you something. If you've been watching Donald Trump these last 8, 10, 12, 15 years, it's undeniable that this man has turned his life around. It's undeniable that he has made a 180. This ain't the playboy that we've seen back in the late 70s and 1980s. Donald Trump's a changed man. Is Donald Trump a Christian? I don't know. He talks about God. I know he believes in God. Has he given his life to Jesus and being saved, born again? I don't know. But I know one thing. Phil Robertson from the old Duck Dynasty folks down there in Louisiana, he personally shared the gospel with Donald Trump face to face, and he talked to him about it. And after it was all over with, Phil had written some things on a piece of paper and had demonstrated some things to Trump while they were talking. And when Phil was about to leave, Trump says, "Hey, you mind if I keep that? Will you give that to me?" And so Phil handed him the piece of paper of the stuff, And so I don't really know if Trump is a Christian or not, but I know that he's made a 180. And I know he's loyal to us, and he's loyal to this nation. He loves this nation. He cares for this nation. And I know that he has learned the lesson of loyalty, just like I did. And, we don't need a person in office who already starting, off with being disloyal. They are all disloyal, backstabbing evildoers. Mike Pence talks about his faith, but I'll tell you what, other than just spewing off a couple of things, he ain't never shown me nothing. I've actually met Mike Pence, and it was one of the most disappointing things ever. Everything was rehearsed. He was a tiny little bitty stature of a man. He was feminine. He seemed to me like he's got a little sugar in his tank, to be honest with you. And even my wife says, "My gosh, did you see the guy's hands and the way he was?" Yeah, well, yeah, I seen him. I mean, he's just he's no leader. And once again, where does he get off? Where does he get the audacity to rise up against Donald Trump? In my opinion, he's a coward on every level. And I don't think Ron DeSantis is necessarily a coward, but I think that he's missing a lot of values, and he's certainly missing loyalty. Yeah, he may be sharp, maybe well accomplished, in some ways, but I'll never vote for Ron DeSantis ever. He's disloyal. He stabbed Trump in the back, and this is not the time to be learning that lesson. He should have already known that and learned that lesson at a much younger time, at a much younger age, and we don't need that guy. So anyway, thanks for listening. I love you guys. I love this country. I'm a supporter of Trump. I'm a disciple of Jesus. I follow the Lord, and not perfect. Ain't none of us above reproach. But you got to look at someone's life and what they're doing, what fruit they're yielding, and see them that way. And kind of like Paul in his Damascus Road experience. I mean, Paul was a scoundrel, and and even overseen, and even allowed the murder of Stephen, but man, on that road when he met Jesus, he flipped and turned and did a 180 and started living for the Lord, and you could see the differences in his life. And he became the greatest apostle and wrote, a third of the New Testament or something. And anyway, Donald Trump, in my opinion, he's faithful to his wife and his family. He's not the scoundrel, the playboy. He has made a 180 in life, and he has proven himself to us for a long, long time. If you hadn't read his book, The Art of the Deal, read it. And go back and look at this guy. Dig into things that he said. He has been consistent, standardized and consistent, if you will, in his message and the way he believes and the way things should be. And he is not swayed. You know what you get with Donald Trump. We don't know what we're going to get with this Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis and all these other folks. Now, I'm not voting for DeSantis, and it's my vote. I'll do what I want. If I had to write Trump in, I will. Someone says, well, that's stupid. Well, call it what you will. It's a principle of the thing. I'm writing Donald Trump in. I'm voting for the guy. It's a matter of principles, and I'm going to do what I can do. So anyway, thanks for listening, and hope you got something out of this. And as always, I love you. God bless you. And I'm serious. If you're not a follower of Jesus, you ain't been born again, give me a call. Or get with somebody that you trust in the Lord, and if the Spirit is prompting you to be a follower of Jesus and you haven't yet, make it happen, because not only is it the best decision that you can make, it's the best decision you will ever make. So anyway, my number is 412-526-8033. Or you can get me 1,000 other ways. Emails and everything else. Google me. I'm all over the internet. So anyway, thanks for listening. Love you.